All right, and I do understand, Mfundo, you're about to have a conversation with SABC News reporter Jayde Paulse.
Indeed, let's take you to KZN now, where SABC News reporter Jayde Paulse has been covering the second and final day of voting, or rather special voting. She joins us now with the very latest. Good evening, Jayde. How did second day of special votes go?
Well, a very good evening to you, ladies. And here in KwaZulu-Natal, where we've just heard the IEC saying that over 937,000 people have voted. Here in KZN, 300,000 special votes were casted by some of those that went to the polls. And there were some glitches yesterday, including today, especially in KwaXimba, where I was based, KwaXimba Ward 1 here in Durban, where we saw at Ngidi Primary School, some of the special votes could not commence. The school, in fact, had to stop special voting Mfundo. This happened around 11 o'clock yesterday morning, and this was because due to the envelopes not being at the voting station. Now, when we spoke to the presiding officer, she said they had to close the voting station at 11 o'clock, and they did actually resume voting at 4:30 that afternoon. However, some of those special votes could not be casted. So in that particular ward, 236 people were supposed to vote, 80 home visits, and there were only 50 envelopes there. So today we did go and visit that particular voting station, and they had similar issues. The VMD was also off. They couldn't capture some of the votes. So it's very, very sad to see that some of those people were turned away. However, we did hear from the IEC tonight that those who could not cast their vote today will be able to vote tomorrow. Some of my colleagues are also saying, especially those that are based in Pongolo, police are monitoring the area after a area of water bus rather in Pongola in the Zululand district north of KwaZulu-Natal, after disgruntled community members blockaded the N2 demanding water restoration. And that's what we've been seeing throughout KwaZulu-Natal. Many people are blockading roads here and there, sporadic protests, especially in that particular area. We also saw IEC officials in the Amajuba district in north of KwaZulu-Natal, my colleague there as well, saying that they saw less than half of the home visits for approved special votes conducted today. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen with those special votes. Are those voters going to be going to the polls tomorrow? But it is 24 hours before the 29th of May, when thousands, in fact millions of people are going to go to the polls and cast their votes. And I think a lot of people want to know, what are the observers going to do? Now, we do know that there's 5,000 observers rather in the province that are going to be observing these elections. And I am joined by two in KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Zondi and Mr. Nyembezi. I just want to go straight into it. So in a province like KZN, which is predominantly quite rural, quite vast, we also know the issues that we have seen with these two special votes. What are the observers going to be doing and looking out for?
Well, thank you. We are excited. The excitement is building up. We're looking forward to a great day tomorrow. Well, we started today already. We have been to a number of voting districts. Our observers are spread right throughout the province, and in all these districts we want to encourage people. Firstly, we're encouraging peace and tolerance. We are encouraging political parties and all the role players to participate in the elections and be tolerant with one another. And I must say that we've observed that parties have been quite tolerant. There is a mood. The mood is the mood of excitement, but we're also making sure that things are done in a manner that is legal and that is expected of the election process. For example, ensuring and encouraging that voting stations open on time and making sure that our voters are also there on time, but also observing that the voting material is there, because I mean, if the voting material is not there, that could spark problems. So we are also ensuring that while there's excitement and all of that, but there's safety. The safety and security of the people. So we also work with law enforcement officials, making sure that all the voting stations are safe.
Yeah, I think I'll pose this question to you, Mr. Nyembezi, if you can just move on here. Looking at some of the voting stations that you have been visiting over the course of these 2 days now, some of the hotspot areas, some of the areas where we're going to see an influx of people tomorrow, predominantly here in the Durban CBD where you are based?
Yes, we have a number of hotspots, even though the location is floating. What we are seeing and commending is that the political parties, yes, it's quite electric to see outside the voting stations. They have got tents side by side. They are assisting voters with the voters' roll. And also we see the technology the IEC is using, that machine. If it tells you that you are not supposed to be in this station, it tells you also where to go. And the political parties are cooperating in doing that. I think as observers, our currency is our neutrality, our impartiality, and the relationship we've formed with different stakeholders, such that even with the challenges that come up, we've managed to neutralize the tensions, such that they have not escalated into what we can say it can militate against free and fair elections.
In the many years that you have been observing elections, can you tell me the possible places where we're going to be seeing snaking queues?
Well, I think it's everywhere, because now there are new settlements that we found in the peri-urban areas, but also in some rural areas. What we've seen as an example is that with the elder people who were exercising the vote, they didn't just come by themselves. They had registered with extended family members, whether it's somebody who pushes the trolley or another, the wheelchair, or also maybe other family members coming from outside. That is why we really commend to see that over 900,000 people have voted. It means that the voter education and civic education we have been embarking on, it is working, and we are calling for peace and tolerance.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us, Mr. Nyembezi, who have been observing elections for many, many years. They're going to be on the ground making sure that it is peaceful, and also observing that everything is in order, that the IEC officials have the material as we head to the polls on Mfundo tomorrow. A lot of excitement. It is just a mere but hours away before we see many people enthusiastically holding their ID documents and heading to their various voting stations to cast their vote. It's back to you at The Rock.
Indeed, Jay, there is a lot of excitement. That's SABC News reporter Jayde Paulse.